know it's rough out here for young black males with slavery, racism, no jobs, single-parent families. Don't fucking gesture at me like that. Have some fucking respect. But you're the fucking king snake. You're a low-down, cold-blooded, evil junkyard nigga.
Nigga?
Like I've never seen in my life.
What the fuck you talking about?
What'd you do? Offer money? Who the fuck are you kidding? You're not the mafia. You're not even Rodney Little. You're a skinny-ass snake motherfucker. You think you're hot shit? You ain't nothing but a cold fucking fart, my man.
Man, you don't know a motherfucking thing about me. You don't know who I am. You ain't nothing but a racist-ass nigga-hating cop. You don't know how it is, the brothers out here. Shit, and you motherfucking definitely don't know nothing about what's going on out here.
Hello everyone, this is Keitel Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you, and this is a movie review request from a recent viewer who has asked me to cover Spike Lee's drug crime drama Clockers. Released in September the 15th, 1995, it stars Harvey Keitel, John Turturro, Mekhi Phfier, Delroy Lindo, Asai Washington, and of course it was directed by Spike Lee. Now the story of Clockers is that we are set in the present day of Brooklyn, where the city consists of street level drug dealers, or clockers as they're referred to by the police, who we see shaking them down in the opening sequences. We focus on a young black drug dealer named Strike, who's asked by the main drug lord of the city, Rodney Little, to kill a fellow drug dealer who Rodney deems has been stealing from him. Once the dealer is shot and murdered, we then see detectives Rocco Klein and Larry Marsili carrying out the investigation. Initially, Strike's brother Victor confesses to killing the drug dealer, but the detectives remain very skeptical of his confession, not believing in his motives because he has 2 jobs, a wife and kids, and a clean record and generally a good reputation. Whilst his colleagues aren't that bothered by the case, Rocco looks more into it and determines that Strike is far more involved in the murder and proceeds to watch him closely. We then see the story of Strike being conflicted by his association with Rodney, the fact that his brother is getting assaulted in prison, his constant attachment by a young boy named Tyrone, and how his world slowly closes in around him as he's the main suspect, as well as fearing for his life, as Rodney is more aware of him being questioned by the police. Now Clockers is yet again another fine, accomplished movie from Spike Lee, filmed with a certain style and assurance. Visually, the film is full of colour with a certain energy and vibrancy in terms of the cinematography. It's very typical of the director's work in terms of the slick editing and the fusion of R&B and soul soundtrack songs. It's probably near the end of that era that is so often called the New Jack Swing era, which in many ways was started off by Spike Lee, where we saw a whole clutch of films that consisted of powerful urban dramas and thrillers that centered around racism, drug addiction, police corruption and urban society. Now Spike Lee's movies such as Do the Right Thing and Jungle Fever were very much at the forefront of the genre, alongside the likes of King of New York, New Jack City, Deep Cover and Menace to Society. Now whilst there is a raw and gritty feel to Clockers, it doesn't quite have the same urgency or momentum as many of those previous films. This is very much more of a drama, much more driven by dialogue scenes, montages and flashbacks. Now Spike Lee very much shows the characters within this film in a much more of a deconstructive light. He doesn't ask us to sympathise with their situations or try to paint them as anti-heroes. He also strays away far more of the racial commentary and messaging that his previous films consisted of. There are certain references by some of the characters throughout the film, but for the most part Spike Lee keeps the story primarily focused on a murder investigation and how the city is affected by the existence of drugs. One thing that can't be denied throughout this film are the performances of all of the actors, which are overall very strong and compelling to watch. In his debut performance, Mekhi Phfier is very good as Strike. He's a very abrasive and very confused character, and we see throughout the story that Strike finds himself lacking a certain direction and is very conflicted as to what action he should take regarding his life. Now despite Mekhi Phfier not sharing billing in terms of the movie's promotion and posters, he is very much the lead character throughout the story. Delroy Lindo is superb as Rodney, seemingly like a mentor and a father figure to Strike, seemingly coming in as very caring and protective to him at first, but later on throughout the story we see how vicious and ruthless he can be. We also get a very intense flashback as to how Rodney got into the drug dealing business, again adding lots of depth to his overall character. Harvey Keitel is also excellent as Rocco, showing an endless resolve in trying to solve the case and constantly stalking down Strike. Now many reviews have deemed this character as a racist. He does certainly have some fiery racial exchanges with Strike, but I don't see him as a racist overall, and as the story progresses towards its conclusion, we definitely see that he's actually far more caring and is probably the most sympathetic character of the entire piece. Keith David is also very strong and intense as another police officer, Andre, who's much more closer to the community and is very wary of the effects that the Clocker gangs have on the younger community. He constantly clashes with Strike over his connection with young Tyrone, and overall is a very imposing and strong and fierce performance. Now, for all of its qualities, there are a few flaws that just stop the movie from achieving the same greatness as Spike Lee's earlier movies. Now, the biggest issue is the story's conclusion, which I didn't find as satisfactory. I don't think it quite carried the same powerful message as Spike Lee's previous films. There are certainly some dangling plot threads that are left unresolved, along with some lacking in terms of the character's motivations. In the end, Strike doesn't really learn any lessons or show any desire to atone for his mistakes. He kind of gets away with things at the end of the story with no reflection of where his life is going. We never get to see what happens to Rodney, though it's hinted at. I think overall we deserved far more of a concluding arc to this character's story. We also asked, why does Rocco show far more empathy and care towards Victor and Tyrone and even Strike towards the end? So running at over 2 hours and still having these questions unanswered, it does leave some flaws within the storytelling. I do feel also that Spike Lee did overdo it in terms of the editing and the montages, which certainly could be cut down. There's one example where we have an extended sequence showing the various drug dealing throughout the city, alongside Spike playing with the train set. Now, as classy as the soundtrack is, I also feel that there was perhaps too much music used throughout this movie. Nearly every single scene is backed up with certain songs, and it does take away some of the impact throughout the scenes. In many ways, I think Spike added the editing and the montages and the soundtrack to compensate for the lack of action within the story. I do also feel that John Turturro wasn't quite as utilised as well as other actors within the cast, which is a shame because I think he's a very talented and underappreciated actor. So if I had to give an overall score for Clockers, I would give it a 7.8 out of 10. So when we go on to the box office release of the movie, and sadly Clockers underperformed, only grossing $13 million from a $25 million budget. Now, to be honest, Spike Lee's films have never been massive box office blockbusters. His films will always provide much debate and division due to the tough subject matter that they cover, and Clockers is very much the same in this regard. But despite this, I still think Clockers is a very strong offering within Spike Lee's career, with some compelling performances and stylish cinematography. Whilst it still falls short of his early films, I still think it remains a vivid movie that's definitely worth watching, and to an extent is not as appreciated as what it should be, both during and post its overall release. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings and review of Clockers. Let me know what you think in the comments below. How do you think it ranks amongst the filmography of Spike Lee? Do you think it's in the upper elite section, or do you think it just falls short, or do you think it's very middle of the road? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you have any other movies that you'd like to see me review within this channel, then also drop me a suggestion, and if I've seen the movie, then I'll provide another review on the film as well. Please also hit and like those subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay at safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.